This is a pretty long and messed up story. Sorry for any errors as I am writing on my phone. I've come to the end of my rope and have no idea how to navigate this mess. A bit of background. I'm male 43 and my wife, 40 female, have been married for 16 years. We have 2 kids, a 14-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. Our marriage was very rocky in the beginning, but we made it through those tough years and had come out much better from it. We married young, so maturity wasn't all there yet, but we knew we loved each other and could conquer any obstacle that came between our marriage. I'm still not sure whether this was wishful thinking. Anyway, my wife is a manager at a very big advertisement company for 3 years, and I'm in engineering 7 years. Both our jobs pay well and have given our family a pretty good lifestyle. We were a very tight-knit family. We always made sure as parents that we were there for our kids to create great memories. No matter how busy we got, we always made time for our kids. Honestly, I consider myself a good dad and husband. I messed up sometimes when it came to my wife, but I did anything for this woman, and it honestly shocked me to my core when I found out that she was in a long-term affair. Which brings me to the discovery. My wife was acting distant. In fact, the last 2 years before this one were the hardest. She just didn't seem to like anything I did. She kept comparing me to her boss, yes I know now, and would always tell me how he would handle this or that. Can't read her mind. Well, her boss can. Don't take the initiative to take her out on dates and make her feel special. Well, her boss does that for his wife. Why was I so immature? I would ask what she wanted me to do to spice up our love life. Her usual answer was, don't ask. You need to already know and do it. So I researched. Bought books. Since I was clueless, someone else had to have the answer. Anything I attempted was met with either half-hearted appreciation or bitter disappointment. My wife was never like this in the years I've known her, so I thought that the inability to make her happy was something I seriously needed to fix. Little did I know it wasn't me who was doing the fixing the entire time. We were very close to her boss and his wife. They'd also have kids, and the kids loved each other. We brought them to our barbecues, family outings to the park, game days at the arcade. They have been to our house numerous times, and we've been to theirs. It's no surprise that we became close. I would confide in her boss about our marital problems. He gave me good advice. I thought he was a swell guy. Anyway, back to the discovery. I had grown emotionally tired from my wife's demands to better myself or the marriage was done. I was honestly shocked by her attitude because before all this I thought we had a great marriage. So one night she was busy laughing and giggling while texting someone. I was next to her in bed and was curious. The moment I leaned my head to take a peek, she viciously pulled away from me. She was angry instantly, asking me what I was doing. I told her I wanted to see what the joke was, and she told me it was none of my business and retreated to the bathroom. I think that's the day when I just knew deep down that there was an affair of sorts going on. I did not have proof though. I made the mistake of asking her directly the next day. She was furious and denied any wrongdoing. I did not have access to her phone, but I wanted the truth terribly. I asked for her phone and she refused. Only later during the night did she grudgingly give me the phone. Almost every text message she sent to specific people was deleted. I could tell because some conversations seemed inconsistent and others downright ridiculous. I gave her the phone back, and we did not speak of it until a month later when I was able to get a buddy on it to check the phone and recover deleted texts. My wife had gotten another phone prior and hardly used the one she handed to me. Some texts were recovered and it was through bits and pieces that I finally had proof that there was an affair going on, and you already guessed it, with her boss. I just knew if I confronted her then and there she would find some way to weasel out of it, so I bided my time. I was a wreck though. All I could think about was how it was going to affect the kids. The situation was horrible and I cried in front of my buddy. I still did not want to give up the marriage, so 3 days later I bought How to Help Your Spouse Heal from an Affair. It's okay if you're shaking your head. I started reading hoping that if I gave it to my wife she would stop this nonsense. I wanted my wife back and I wanted to save the marriage. I had planned on talking to her that Saturday to work things out, but she had told me they had an emergency at work and not to wait up for her. Of course I contacted the workplace on the day to confirm the story she gave me and received no answer. They were not open on Saturdays. I tried her phone but no answer. She came back home at 2 in the morning on Sunday, and immediately showered and then came to bed. I asked why she was late and she dodged the question by saying that she already told me not to wait for her. I was sick of this. I did not give her the book I bought. I was suffering and she didn't care. She saw me suffering and didn't care. I contacted her boss's wife to find out from her if she knew anything. I was so desperate for stability, and to this day I don't regret doing that. She was as shocked as I was when finding out. She wanted to confront her husband, but I told her he would probably lie and try to hide it better like my wife did. We met at her house to discuss what was going on, and I gave her the little proof that we had. She wanted more evidence, so we both decided to gather evidence on each of our sides and compare them. I started snooping on my wife more, and she did the same with her husband. It was very easy on her end to find undeniable proof. Her husband was so arrogant that he didn't even delete the text on his phone between him and my wife. The little text I found earlier finally made sense, and we had a whole picture of how long the affair was: 2 years. The boss's wife was livid, and so was I. She wanted to get revenge on them, and so did I. They slept together everywhere. Her house, my house, expensive hotels, business trips. It was sickening to read all that. They even sent each other pics, but we decided to ignore the pics because we didn't want to scar ourselves with the images. We wanted revenge, but not an affair ourselves. We both decided that if they wanted each other, then they can have each other. We both drew up divorce papers at roughly the same time. We were dead set on it. Our spouses didn't know that we knew, and we acted our part. By the time our ducks were in a row, they were at it again. This time, through collaborating with the boss's wife, we knew exactly where and how they were going to be served. We knew which hotel they booked for their weekend of fun. I personally went there with the sheriff. I waited in the lobby as the sheriff got everything working, and my wife was called to come down from her room. She did, dressed in a bathrobe, and I fear nothing else. She's panicking frantically, asking me what I was doing there. It was quite a distance from our home, but not too far. The sheriff asked for confirmation of her name and information. She confusedly answered in the affirmative and was served. It was very satisfying seeing the shocked look on her face, but I did not want to rub it in, so I decided to walk away knowing the job was done. She didn't let me and was holding my arm, pulling me back and demanding to know the meaning of this. I told her, "You had an affair and I'm leaving you, simple." She started screaming at me and pulling my arm hard. The sheriff had to step in and tell her to release me at once. She did so and started crying, telling me she can explain. I have the wrong idea. It's my fault. I was getting angry, so I left quickly to get home. My wife told her boss and he panicked. From what I was told, he rushed home only to be served there. We did not give them time to get their heads on straight. We blindsided them just like they did us. My divorce will be finalized in a couple of months. Hers might be taking a bit longer. Both my wife and her boss have been fighting us on the divorces. Neither wants to get divorced. The excuses I hear are that they never intended to leave their spouses. It was a purely sexual affair, nothing more. People have worse affairs and still come out with a great marriage. They messed up and would like a chance to fix the situation. I have asked my wife what she thought the outcome of all this was. She said she was going with the flow and acted completely out of character. She is not that person anymore. I told her she's an idiot. People around me are calling me evil for not giving my wife another chance. My kids know what's going on. Age appropriate, and they are behind me 100%, but would like it if we stayed together. My resolve is slipping. Coupled with the fact that we still live in the same house and my wife is going to therapy and reading the book I bought, it's getting harder to stick to my guns. She says she's remorseful and will do whatever it takes. All I tell her is that she's sorry she got caught, and that's all I need to know. She's called me a bitter, resentful person who can't look past all the negativity. She apologized for it later, but I know that's how she feels. The boss's wife and I still talk, and my wife absolutely hates that. She thinks I'm going to have a revenge affair, or that her boss's wife is the reason I will not give us another chance. She has asked me repeatedly to initiate no contact with her boss's wife, just like she did with her boss. I told her she's crazy. We didn't do anything wrong, and why should I respect your opinions now? See, I think I'm done. I have no respect for her. She still doesn't want to give up, and is actively trying to engage with me about her thoughts and processes leading to her affair. I see them as excuses, so I don't entertain her. She wants me to do therapy with her. I've read many places where the therapist blames the victim, so I was like, hell no. She wants me to read infidelity books with her. What is the point if we're going to divorce anyway? She wants to be intimate. I told her she was not going to manipulate me with sex. She says it's not manipulation and she just wants to show me how much she loves me. I corrected her and said, "Love me now, you mean?" People around me are frustrated with me, even my mom, because they say people make mistakes and my wife realizes through her mistakes that she truly does love me. I told people that I will never be anyone's fallback plan. I feel very bad for treating her the way I do. I still love her even though there's hate there. Am I being unnecessarily cruel to her? She's trying really hard, but I just don't care. Should I reconsider the divorce? People are saying I'm moving too quickly and I will regret it. Is that true? I don't know what's real and what's not. Update. Okay, I'm back again. I'm trying for the second time because I've been getting email after email asking me for an update. Thanks for your concern, guys. I understand your curiosity and I'd like to clear up a few things. Firstly, my wife and I are in a sort of good place right now. It is not because we are reconciling. No, I'm still divorcing her. The last update I posted, which was taken down by the automod, explained in great detail our situation. The short version is my wife is still begging for another chance and is doing whatever it takes to get it. I will not give it to her because her affair was way too long for me to get over. If it had been a one-night stand, that would be a different story. But no, 2 years is just a slap in the face. I have gone to a few therapy sessions with her because I'm not a monster and still love her. One session was very good and made me understand that my wife is actually remorseful. She has not been perfect with how she handled the fallout of her affair, but she has been trying pretty damn hard. The second session was a mess with her upset at me for continuously contacting the boss's wife and her being afraid of a revenge affair. It was the angriest I have ever been through this whole mess, and we did argue a great deal later because I refused to do what she wanted, which is no contact with the boss's wife. That was resolved when I promised her that there would be no revenge affair. I know I don't owe her anything, but she's still my wife until our divorce and I still want to hold true to my commitments. I have been going to a few more sessions with her just to see her progress. Yes, this therapist is an individual and marriage therapist. No, I'm not going to these sessions because deep down I want to save our marriage. I want to see my wife's progress myself and participate if I have to. After the divorce, I will step away gracefully. The boss's wife is still leaving her husband. Her husband is still fighting her on the divorce. She is as adamant as I am, and I will admit we do confide in each other when we have low days. I still do not see any affair happening. We are just on friendly terms with each other. That's all. She is a strong and independent woman who takes no BS from anyone. My kids are fine. They know just because we're divorcing doesn't mean we love them any less. They don't want a divorce but understand why it's necessary for us in an age-appropriate manner. My wife doesn't work at the advertisement company anymore. She works elsewhere. She resigned shortly after I served her. She has been strictly no contact with her former boss. According to her, she reached out on forums to get help on saving the marriage and used that advice. I've been reading a lot here and at first I didn't understand why people stayed with adulterers. But after seeing my wife work her butt off to be a better person, I can see the temptation. She's not a monster. She's just flawed and made horrible choices, which she's learning to be better from. She has offered me everything under the sun to be given another chance. I'm not so sure I have it in me. The closer the divorce comes to being final, the more at peace I feel. We recently had a long discussion of her asking to have a chance after the divorce. She has offered a postnut. I was not completely opposed to it actually, but it would be a very, very long road for her to travel for me to even consider it a possibility. She seems quite willing, but I don't see how that would benefit any of us. To be honest, a huge part of me wants this divorce out of a fleeting sense of justice. It's the only justice I can get without lowering myself to an adulterer. My mom and I made up after I revealed more about my wife's affair. Although now she's absolutely furious with my wife after learning the details. I don't know how to navigate that one. Update. I didn't want to rank here until my divorce was finalized, but I'm just pissed off today and really want to vent. As many of you know, my wife is scared crazy about a revenge affair. The simple reason is that I'm still in contact with and see the other woman she would trade. My wife is very insecure compared to OBS. Is that how it's spelled? OBS is younger, a model, very attractive, and owns a successful business. It makes my wife paranoid that I will give in to temptation and cheat on her as revenge. I still cannot believe the nerve of her to give me the two wrongs don't make a right speech. Of course she isn't wrong. and I don't intend to ever follow through, but her hypocrisy infuriates me. Every time I'm going to visit OBS, like yesterday, she gets extremely sad or extremely clingy. I don't know how many times she has thrown herself at me just to make sure that I don't cheat on her back. I reject her attempts and it only makes things worse. It absolutely floors me that cheaters are this selfish, only thinking about themselves and their pain, while the betrayed have to trudge along and try to pick up the pieces. Another thing, our kids still see their kids. I never go to OBS without my kids, but no, my wife still thinks I have it in me to be as heartless as she was and take any opportunity to bang the woman. Laughable, honestly. Alma is still living in her holiday home, begging OBS to take him back. I'm not going to lie. It brings me a sense of great satisfaction to see him suffer the consequences. He is not trying to threaten me because of how much leverage I have on him. He has to deal with the fact that I'm still in contact with his wife. He is allowed to visit his kids anytime he wants, but doesn't want to see me, so he makes sure I'm not around and then visits. I pity the guy, honestly. Currently, my wife has been super apologetic. She has showered me with affection, which I simply brushed off. I'm not in a good place. We are having a therapy session today, and I feel like unloading all the pain and hurt I've had to endure because of her. The rage I feel is becoming overwhelming. Next update. Looking through my posts and messages, I realize what a great place this is that gives support to people like us. I have been reading a lot of stuff that concerns infidelity in order to get a better picture of my situation. Anyway, during a recent therapy session with my wife, she requested that I give her a little more time for her to win me back. She had reason after reason why it would be a good idea for me to at least try and see if I could participate in recovering our marriage, not necessarily reconciliation yet. I repeatedly brought up the fact that she was only trying now because of the fallout from her affair. She would never be trying if she were still seeing Omen. She emotionally abused me for months, and I'm not the type of person to get walked all over, even by the woman I loved. She acknowledged all of her wrongdoings and apologized once again. She has given me so many promises of making it up to me. She wants our marriage to grow stronger than ever before, and believes it's possible. I asked her if she was willing to put up with my rage because I have plenty to spare. She was like, absolutely, and she would like me to unload on her whenever I feel like it to help myself process the pain. Usually, when I asked her why she had an affair, I got a million excuses. This time she was forthright and told me there was no excuse for what she did, and she would spend every day for the rest of her life, showing me through her actions that she was truly remorseful and would never hurt me that way again. She actually unloaded feelings onto me, and it made me understand a bit that she really was very insecure about herself and jealous of OBS. The affair made her ego skyrocket, and she liked feeling beautiful and desired. She acknowledged that the affair was definitely a fantasy and would never last. She hardly thought about the consequences but did think about them from time to time. She regrets ever having the affair and said she will live with this guilt for the rest of her life. She will probably never forgive herself. She told me she could never hold a candle to OBS, and the reason she was so sure I would cheat back is that OBS is not only beautiful but also a woman with integrity. Not once has OBS ever said a mean thing to her or threatened her. It was all my wife's insecurities talking and maybe the fact that I was angry at her for betraying me. Here's where it gets interesting. The therapist asked me what it would take for me to consider my wife's proposal. Nothing came to mind. I was honest and told her a time machine because what I have now is a sham of a marriage, and I never signed up for it. She told me all marriages face problems, ranging from infidelity to death, and it's how those problems are dealt with that shows the strength of a marriage.